Give me a second. All right, I'm ready to go. So can you repeat what you just said? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the mentorship program is in the tail end of a randomized control trial, which is a 5-year randomized control trial, and we have we had a grant to fund the mentorship program for this randomized control trial, and the outcome of the randomized control trial is to see whether or not mentorship has an impact on recidivism. So the control group is treatment as usual. That's so they get sponsors, transitional housing, and all of our job resources and everything. And then the treatment group gets all of sponsors business as usual plus mentorship. So that trial, the randomized control trial, that RCT has been going on for 5 years. We're at the end of that right now. And at the end of that 5 years, we'll have we already have a lot of data, but at the end of the 5 years, we'll have a pretty good thorough analysis of whether or not what kind of impact mentorship has on outcomes.
Okay, sounds good. So I guess, so you don't have results that have been produced to date yet?
No results that have been produced to date yet, but it's enough that we have enough that we've been able to see that there is a significant impact that mentorship has. Just preliminarily looking at the data.
So would you be able to share those results with me?
Probably not. I probably would not be able to do that, not until it's completely finished.
Gotcha. So which program, so this one's still under evaluation, basically. Probably be better for us to talk about maybe the men's housing transitional, you think?
Yeah, that's fine, but it's also the same way. We also have, in order to be able to participate and to continue receiving money from some of the sources that we do, we've had to do rigorous program evaluation. And so research on our program, the men's transitional housing program and the women's transitional housing program, has shown a reduction in recidivism by approximately 50%.
Wow.
So everything that we do as sponsors is data-driven. Everything that we do is under some kind of evaluation, whether it's by the Justice Department or the Department of Corrections or our local parole and probation or by grant funders. Everything that we do is under evaluation.
Okay, so what results are likely in the next year or two, you think?
What results?
Yeah, based on what you're telling me about this. So results in terms of the work that you guys are doing, and so right now it's 60%. Do you say maybe in 2 years it'll probably be 80% reduction? I don't know. I'm just asking the questions verbatim because it's how they want us to answer.
Yeah, so it's 50 is in SISTY, 50%. A reduction of recidivism by approximately 50%. So I would expect that over the next couple of years that we're going to hit about the same thing. I'm really hoping that it stays at the 50% because the recidivism rate typically is very, very high. So to see a reduction in recidivism by 50% is extraordinary.
So you don't expect it to increase, but just if it stays the same, that would be good news.
We'd like to have it decrease. We'd like to have the recidivism continue to decrease, right? We don't want it to increase.
That's what I meant by, yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's kind of unheard of to go in the range where we're at right now. So that's fantastic. We're really, really pleased with that.
Yeah, because here in Florida, it's like 30. It's not a lot at all. It's actually probably less than 30. Last time I checked, it was like 30%. So that is good. 50% is unheard of. You're right.
No, I think that we're having a communication problem here. It was a reduction in recidivism by 50%. But let's say the recidivism rate was 80%. We received a 40% recidivism. Are you following me?
Yes.
Okay.
So you reduced it by 50%.
Correct.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
I was saying increase, but I'm sorry. The way I was saying it didn't make sense to say it that way. Why would the program produce those results?
Say it again?
Why would the program produce those results?
Why was the program able to produce those results?
Yes.
we're doing something different here than any other agency in the country is doing, and that is we're trying to provide services under one roof. So we have mental health services, we have treatment services, we have employment services, case management, housing, all under one roof. So you'll see lots of organizations across the country provide treatment services, some that will provide transitional housing, lots that will provide mental health services, but not at all any that will provide all of them under one roof. So to have all of those resources in one spot is a huge part of the success.
So you guys started off when the organization began. I see that they used the outside sources. So now you're telling me that they've begun to do all of this in-house?
Correct.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we do it all right here on our property. So we have a women's program and we have a men's program, and each one of the locations offer mental health services, cognitive behavioral therapy groups, parenting groups, drug and alcohol treatment, just a whole host of things.
Wow, thank you. Oh, that's awesome. What are the program's main problems?
Main problems. I think probably one of them, if I had to say, I really don't have any problems that I can think of off the top of my head that are significant. One of the problems that we continue to have, though, that I think is not unusual for most organizations, is people to show up from prison. So they get out of prison and they don't make it here. They end up going to somebody, using drugs at somebody's house or doing something on the way from where they were released to our organization. And that happens anywhere from 4 to 6 times a month. People don't show up for their bed, for their intake.
So you don't have issues with getting volunteers to do the mentor program and things of that nature?
Not at all.
What? That's awesome.
Yeah, no, we have people are signing up like right and left. We've had over 1,000 successful mentor-mentee matches since the inception of that program 5 years ago, and our community is only 157,000 people. So to have that many people sign up and participate and match, and to be a successful mentor match is 1 year commitment. So that's 1,000 people that have signed on to have a 1 year commitment, and then have had 1 year with their mentee.
Wow. Do you guys, I'm going off, well, I'll stick with the questions, and then maybe at the end I can ask a few of my own. How long will it take to solve that problem, you think, with the people not making it to the prison, making it to your house? Your transitional
I don't think that there's ever going to be a solving of that problem. I think that's something that we cannot take care of, we cannot address, unless we were to pick them up from prison and bring them to our organization. And even then, once we brought them here, if they have it in their mind where they're not going to do good and they don't want to do good, they're going to go find something to do. You know what I mean? I think that's a problem that is going to be difficult to solve, because if I had it in my head that I wasn't going to show up to this organization, that I was going to go use drugs or hang out with people that were not good influences, then that's exactly what I would do. Most people can agree when they get out of prison that they don't want to go back. But as time goes on, that commitment to not going back changes substantially.
Okay.
I don't know if I mentioned this to you or if you saw this on your own already, but a lot of the things that we're talking about right now are available on there's a TED Talk. You're familiar with TED Talks, obviously,
yes, I
right?
am. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I did a TED Talk in California last year, and it's available on YouTube. You just type my name in, it'll come up, and we talk about mentorship, we talk about the sponsors program, we talk about the reduction of recidivism. So you have that to resource also if you want to.
Thank you. Awesome. All right. The next question. Only thing is, she was our professor. It has to be a face-to-face, but she's going to give me. She's amending the assignment for me for over the phone interview, because they just want us to actually talk to someone. Because I could have probably answered a lot of these on, like, just by looking at your website. I did do a lot of looking and digging in there and on Charity Navigator. However, they want us to actually talk to a person to get the experience. So, yeah. But the other thing, I super appreciate you meeting with me today, too. I'm sorry I didn't mention that. I appreciate you
That's
taking
all
the
right.
time because it's been very difficult. Most people don't want to talk about their organizations, but I think because you guys have so much history and you're doing things well, you got great results and things. It's probably easier for you to get on the phone with somebody about it. I don't know.
Yeah, the only difficult part about doing that is just the time frame. That's it. It's just trying to carve out the time to do it. But I understand that this is important. So.
Aw, thank you so much. Thank you. What kinds of information? So we're on to performance information, and it says, what kinds of information do you get on the program's performance and results? So I know you already said that you haven't really gotten the evaluation assessment yet. However, just if you could answer that in any way. If you can't, that's fine too.
Yeah, so a lot of what we do is based on evaluation, like I said. So what they'll do a lot of times is they'll take like sponsors clients, and they'll have somebody that they've paired them up with, unbeknownst to them, right? But somebody that has similar demographics, somebody who's been in prison, and compare them longitudinally to that individual. So they'll say that this person went through the sponsors program, this other person did not go through the sponsors program, and that person has ended up back in prison, whereas the sponsors person has not. And that's all done through the Department of Corrections. And that's pretty common that's how they do evaluation. To figure out, like, here's a cohort of your peers. This group of peers went through sponsors. This group of peers did not go through sponsors, and then compare the results.
Okay. Really quick before we go on, let me just make sure that I'm recording and that it's working. All right. So the next question is, what kinds of information do you need for this specific program you were just speaking of? I think we kind of are just going with the mentorship program because I think for me that's the deepest of interest for me because I'm going to do my capstone on this particular program because I think mentorship does work for anything. And I'm like,
Yes,
it's a perfect thing for people who are coming out of jail. People need somebody to hold their hand. People who are becoming Christians. People who are going to college. People, you have your academic counselors. So it's a great concept, and the methodology works. It just works.
It's been working in every demographic for years and years.
Yes.
People are surprised that it works here.
They're surprised, but it works. So awesome. So what kinds of information do you need? And I don't understand this question, so if you don't either, we can skip it. I think
I don't.
they're
don't.
meaning.
I think the information that we need, if there was something that we need, is to be able to have the outcomes. And if we have the outcomes at the very end to be able to prove that this is what we're doing, then the funding there's a lot more funding that's available. So what we need is this rigorous evaluation to be completed so that we have 5 years worth of data that we can show organizations while we're applying for grants or applying for different things that are available that this mentorship concept works.
Awesome. How would you use that information that you just mentioned? So how would
we
you?
would use, especially for funding. I mean, funding is I can think myself, if somebody wanted to borrow money from me and they said that they had this great business idea that was going to help their community, I would want to see some research that says they've done something. Well, there are organizations out there, SAMHSA, there's other government funding out there that's available that is for programs that are doing something that's evidence-based, that's rooted in research, that has rigorous data attached to it, and we would have all of that available when we go to apply for these grants or what have you, programs.
Perfect. That was perfect. What kinds of program performance information are requested by key stakeholders?
Well, the data really is, does this work? Have you tried it in the past? What is your target? What do you really want to do with this information, or what do you really want to do with this money once it's given to you? What is your goal with this money? And when we write letters to our, to our donors or to volunteers, to be able to attach something to it that's not just a dream, right? That doesn't say, hey, we'd really like to be able to do this, but something that says, we've done this. Here it is. What we got.
Awesome. Perfect. Now we're on to project goals and activities. What are your goals for the project or program? So what would you like to see? This is how I'm interpreting this question. What would you like to see, say, 5 to 10 years from now? And I think you probably brought that up a little bit, but just if you could give me more details on it.
What I would like to see 5 to 10 years from now is people not afraid to put resources into something that works. For far too long, we've been putting money into prisons, and we've been putting money into feeding money into a system that doesn't work. And what I would really like to see happen is that people are willing to start putting, instead of dumping money into prisons, maybe putting more money into programs like sponsors that actually do work.
What would you say? And this is off that. This is like a addition to this question. I'm adding it. Do you think there's something that could start within before they get out, that where you have their attention? Because I saw that one of your problems was, and that's a problem here too, so that there are many resources and things for people. However, if they don't go, then they don't get the change and they don't use them. So do you think there's a way to help them before they get out when you have their attention?
Yeah, that's actually what we're doing as part of the mentorship program, is that we're getting a hold of them before they even leave prison.
How far ahead, though?
What's that?
How far ahead, and what does that look like? Is it them?
Six months. So we match these mentors up with the people that are coming out of prison 6 months in advance, and that means that they're going to the prisons and visiting the inmates. That means that they're talking to them over the telephone, or we have Telmate visits in Oregon, which is like a screen that you can actually see the other person visit. It's like a virtual,
I'm aware of what you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like Skyping with somebody.
Okay, so you do start that ahead of time. Okay, so your goal for this project is that people will probably put more money into it, and that's really it, because it's working. It's just a matter of being funded properly.
Correct.
What are the major project activities?
Major project activities. You mean as far as this mentorship piece is concerned?
Yeah, we might as well stick with that, huh? We've been talking about that one. So
it's doing a successful match with somebody, and making sure that individual is willing to commit to a year. So that's a minimum of a year. So that's 6 months pre-release and 6 months post-release. And then we provide the mentor with support. We provide them with monthly activities. Several times a month, we do big activities like snowshoeing or hiking or going to movies or ballet, or just there's a ton of stuff, game nights. We provide activities where everybody can get together and have some fun. Those are the big components.
Awesome. Why will those activities achieve those? I don't like this question. I'll ask it differently so it's understandable. Why will those activities you just mentioned achieve the goal of keeping people out of prison?
Well, because what it shows is that it's a healthy way of having fun. It shows individuals that they can do something that's pro-social and it's going to be fun for them. And the more that you immerse somebody with those kind of activities and show them that you can have fun without being in trouble or doing drugs, then the more likely they are to do those things on their own.
Awesome. Giving them a new way.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. What resources are available to the project? So I was looking online, I saw your resources. So how does that work? Do those places give you guys discounts, or what is, because I saw that you have sponsors specifically for bowling and camping and fishing. So do you guys work with and partner with those private companies to help, with this program as well?
Yes.
In what way?
So we get free tickets to the ballet, or we get free tickets to movies, or we get discounted tickets. We also get discounted tickets to the bowling alley, or we have a farm team for baseball here in town, and so the Eugene Emeralds will give us tickets to the baseball games, and so we get that kind of support too.
That's awesome. Okay, number of staff that helps with this
50.
for the mentor program.
For our entire staff is just right at 50. We have approximately 200 active mentors, and they're all volunteer.
But you guys reimburse them too. It looks like because I saw a reimbursement form.
Yeah, we'll give them, we'll give them some gas vouchers, or we'll give them some money to take somebody to coffee if they want to.
That's
It's not
so
great
cool.
money,
I know, but that's super cool though, because a lot of organizations won't do that. What's your total budget for the mentorship program?
We have our entire program is a $3.5 million annual budget. That's men's, women's, all of our housing programs and mentorship.
Oh, that's everything. So it's included in that somehow. Okay, $3.5 million budget for all the programs inclusively. Awesome. Sources of funds. Where are the sources of those funds coming from?
Well, like we mentioned earlier, we do have some grants. We have government grants. We also have community corrections money that we get that's filtered through the state from Department of Corrections down to local parole and probation. So we get some of that money as well. But really, primarily, I would say 30% of our budget is community corrections money. There's probably another 30% that is government grants, and then the other 30% is pay for service or private donations or foundation grants.
Private foundations. What was the other one you said? So you said community corrections, government grants, and then you said something else.
I forgot.
Okay.
I'll have to listen to the recording.
Private. Oh, he's so funny. I will listen to it. That's true. Okay. All right. Next question. We're going to go into goals and inputs and outcomes. What outputs are being delivered by the project? What outputs are being delivered by the project? Outputs. Meaning, how, based on everything you guys are doing, well, you already answered this question because you said you got 200 mentors. So that means that people are getting the word about this, and the fact that you guys refund them, maybe they're not doing it specifically for that, but it does probably help. But the fact that you're working with the community, those are all things you guys are working to help this program be successful. Right. But can you give me any specifics just for the sake of the interview?
I think that pretty much covered it as far as the outputs are concerned. I think that pretty much covered it.
Okay. What outcomes are being delivered by the project? So you talked about that a little bit, but can you give me a little bit more detail about the outcomes?
The biggest outcome that's being delivered by the project is a reduction of recidivism. I mean, that's the real goal, right? That's the goal that we all want to do, is make sure that people are not going back to prison, and that our community becomes a safer place. And with the supporters that we have in our community for our program start at the top with the sheriff and the district attorney and the head of parole and probations and Department of Corrections. They're all our biggest supporters and allies, which is proof positive that the program works, or those folks wouldn't be our supporters.
Awesome. So you guys have not, though, situations yet, you said. You guys are in the process of that now, right?
Well, we're always in the process of that. The mentorship program specifically is in the tail end of it. But all of our programs at one time or another have had rigorous evaluation.
Awesome. What evidence is necessary to determine whether goals are met? Is that just the reduction of recidivism?
Yeah, that's the real primary one. I mean, we can talk all day long about, the touchy-feely, nice, feel-good stuff, fuzzy good stuff, but really when it comes down to it, are people going back to prison or are they not? And if they're still continuing to go back to prison at the same rate that they were before, then our program would be rendered useless.
Yeah.
But it's not the case. So we've been around since 1973, so our record speaks for itself.
Cool. Yes, it does. What happens if goals are met?
We stay in business. Our community is a safer place.
And what happens if goals are not met?
Conversely, the opposite. I would say our community is not a safe place. We're not reducing recidivism, and people are not wanting to fund the program anymore.
How is the project related to local priorities?
Oh, I think it's just as high of a priority as anything else in our community is, if not higher. Nobody wants to have people returning back to their community and continuing to commit violence or commit, offenses against other people.
Awesome. Data records. Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Just to let you know real quick, I do have an appointment at 9:30 that's sitting out in the lobby that I need to be attending to. So if we could wrap this up pretty quick,
we are. Yep, I got
okay.
1, 2, 3. Not too many. What data or records are maintained?
Well, we have a database that we keep everybody's outcomes in, so we know whether that person was successfully completed the program or not. We know what kind of job they were able to get, how long it took them to do it, how long their treatment lasted, did they successfully complete treatment or not. We keep data and records on everything.
How much per person to be a part of the mentorship program per ex-convict that comes out? How much does it cost to help each person? Is it like $1,000 for one person, or is it,
Well, that's kind of an interesting question because it doesn't cost anything for them to become part of the mentorship program. There are no services that are being held over there that are paid for services. So they're meeting with mentors, and the mentor's not being paid either. So it's all volunteer based.
Okay. How often are these data collected? How often do you collect data on this? Is it a monthly data collection? I know it's ongoing because you said that, but is it like monthly that you guys look at it regularly?
It's ongoing. So at the end of every participant's time here in the program, that data is entered into our database.
Okay, and how is that information used once it's entered into the database?
Well, a lot of, like we talked about before, with trying to apply for more grants or things that are available through government websites to try to help this demographic of folks.
Okay, and then I'm almost done. I got 3 more questions. I know you got to go. What major problems are you experiencing?
None so far.
And how long will it? Okay, well, you can't answer the question about how long it'll take to solve it. What results have been produced to date? We kind of talked about that too. And what results are likely to happen in the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, I'll just wrap that up into one. Hopefully we continue to see a deeper reduction in recidivism, which is what we're all looking for, and that our community becomes a safer place. And the biggest one is that other organizations and other jurisdictions across our country see that this is what works when we're talking about corrections, and that they're willing to start implementing this, because we currently have the #1 incarceration rate in the world, and that would be nice to not be that way.
Okay, right there in Oregon, you mean, or just the United States?
The United States.
Yes, United States. So, okay. Thank you so much, Nick, for your time today. I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That interview was great. He was ready to get off the phone. But we did it.